The ICAC arrests 23 people on suspicion of football match fixing. 38 professions newly added to the government's talent list scheme. And at least 10 people killed in a hostel fire in New Zealand's capital city. Hello and welcome to TVB News. The ICAC has arrested 23 people, including 11 members and the coach of a football team in the Hong Kong First Division League, who are suspected of being involved in a match-fixing case. The athletes under suspicion lost or tied in around 70% of their matches this season. Meanwhile, sources said the football club involved is Happy Valley Athletic Association. Timothy Lee has our top story.
On Monday, ICAC officers arrested 22 male individuals and 1 female aged between 25 and 36. The arrestees were suspected to include the leader and members of an alleged match-fixing ring. 12 of the arrested suspects consist of 11 footballers and a coach of a team belonging to the city's First Division Football League. It is the largest of such suspected illegal football betting cases in recent years. The anti-graft agency believes the athletes have fixed matches throughout the First Division's 2022-23 season. Participants in the suspected illegal football betting scheme allegedly received thousands of dollars for each fixed match. ICAC officers said the footballers and coach would often give each other hidden signs such as exaggerated movements, body gestures, or pulling up their socks as signals to fix the match. Besides allegedly receiving bribes to fix their matches, several of the footballers are also suspected of placing their bets on illegal betting websites. The ICAC said the athletes would play half-heartedly during games and deliberately lose to much weaker teams. When asked about which team was involved, the agency said the team lost or tied for 18 out of 26 matches this season. Sources say the team is Happy Valley Athletic Association, one of the city's historically most successful football clubs. The team missed 84 shots on goal this season and finished 10th out of 14 teams at the table. Hong Kong's football scene has seen several instances of match fixing in recent times. One notable case was that of Croatian footballer Sasha Mus, who previously played as a defender for Happy Valley and was jailed for 1 year for match fixing. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
Starting today, the government has expanded the talent list scheme to 51 professions, covering 9 sectors. They include doctors, nurses, mechanical engineers, and more. Authorities said this new scheme will only make it more convenient for applicants during the immigration process, and that relevant qualifications must still be obtained. Veronica Lin has the story.
38 professions have been added to the talent list. Among them, the majority are related to medical services, with 13 professions added to the list, including doctors, nurses, dentists, midwives, and traditional Chinese medicine practitioners. Also added were 11 professions in the construction and development industries, including engineering, surveying, and urban planning. Other additions include experts in arts, creative industries, and technology, such as artificial intelligence and cloud-based services. From now on, when employers make new hires through the General Employment Policy and the admission scheme for mainland talents and professionals, they no longer need to advertise locally or prove to the Immigration Department that they had difficulties in recruiting locally. Also, the process will be shortened to just 4 weeks.
People fitting the requirements of talent list, they do not have to prove to the Immigration Department the local recruitment requirement. So the local recruitment requirement will be waived.
However, Sun explained that talents will need to have had obtained a bachelor's degree to be considered. Also, the Health Bureau will not simplify the registration requirements for doctors. Sun added they will have to comply with the regulations and laws of Hong Kong.
The overall KPI we set for ourselves on talent side is to recruit, to attract every year from this year onwards, and for the next 2 years, for each year, we're going to attract 35,000 talents into Hong Kong, and they are expected to stay in Hong Kong at least for 12 months. We are confident we're going to make that target.
Regarding the number of professionals the city hopes to attract to Hong Kong after the expansion of the talent list, the Labor and Welfare Bureau said it hopes to attract over 100,000 talents in 3 years, adding that it will review the results at the end of this year. Veronica Lin, TVB News.
Chief Executive John Lee said his first interactive and consultative question-answer session with lawmakers will take place on Thursday. In the session, 3 topics will be discussed, including the development of Hong Kong's higher education. Mimo Sangai has more details.
On Thursday morning, Chief Executive John Lee and lawmakers will have their first interactive and consultative Q&A session at the Legislative Council. The event will be divided into 2 sections, with the first half focusing on safety and stability and the second half on development and happiness, echoing the topics mentioned in 8 different chapters of the report to the 20th Congress, the Communist Party of China. Among the topics to be discussed, how to develop the city into an international higher education hub. Speaking ahead of his Executive Council meeting this morning, the CE set out some targets he hopes to achieve in the upcoming session. For instance, to enhance interaction with lawmakers and to build a better Hong Kong. Speaking on John Leung, a Hong Kong resident who was sentenced to life in prison on the mainland yesterday on espionage charges, the CE said the authorities have a reporting mechanism to inform the family of the arrested individual.
Any person who is arrested by the law enforcement agencies in mainland China, there is a reporting mechanism for such arrest to be related to the Hong Kong authorities. This has been working well, and the main purpose of this reporting mechanism is to allow, first of all, the family members to know about the situation so that they can do what is necessary to help the person concerned.
Meanwhile, in response to books being pulled from public libraries, the CE said the public can still buy them from private sector bookshops.
First of all, these books are accessible by people in private bookshops. If they want to buy, then they can buy.
Chief Executive John Lee reiterated public libraries have to ensure whether books are suitable for public lending, including if there's any violation of any laws. The CE added he is confident in the professionalism of the colleagues who make the decisions. Mimo Sangai, TVB News.
In New Zealand, at least 10 people were killed in a fire that ripped through a hostel in the country's capital today. 52 people made it out of the building, with 5 taken to hospital, 2 in serious condition. But officials say the death toll could rise to 30 as 30 people are still missing. Tracy Furness has more.
The fire broke out on the top floor of Loafers Lodge in the Wellington neighbourhood of Newtown just after midnight. The 92-room hostel provides accommodation for mainly construction workers, hospital staff and those serving sentences in the community for minor crimes. Firefighters were called to the hostel at about 12:30 a.m. The blaze caused major structural damage to the building, which is hampering recovery efforts.
For the crews, it would have been pretty horrific. Flames coming out of a building with people inside is our worst nightmare. When you're woken from your sleep with alarms going, smoke, people would have been pretty emotive trying to escape.
When I left my room, I could smell smoke in the hallway, and then so I went straight to towards the kitchen, and yeah, there was smoke coming down the stairwell. So I just did a lap around of our floor, knocking on doors, saying, "Everyone out, this one's real."
Emergency officials said the building had no fire sprinklers, and Prime Minister Chris Hipkins said the older buildings did not require them.
Of course, for older buildings, there are fewer requirements than for newer buildings. And so people who have apartments and so on in older buildings, where they've been there for a long time, there may not be sprinklers required in those.
Hipkins visited the site and spoke with emergency service providers, calling the fire a tragedy. An investigation into the cause of the blaze is ongoing, but officials do not believe it was started deliberately. Tracy Furness, TVB News.
Russia unleashed a massive airstrike on Kyiv early today. Ukraine said it shot down all 18 missiles fired at the country overnight, including 6 hypersonic missiles. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's 3-day diplomatic tour of Europe drew to a close on Monday. The commander of Russia's ground forces also held talks with the chief of South Africa's army in Moscow. Daniel Rell tells us more.
Bright flashes lit up the night sky over Kyiv during the 8th Russian air attack on the Ukrainian capital this month. Local authorities did not immediately report any major damage, stating only 3 people had been wounded by falling debris. Ukraine's military said all 18 missiles fired at Ukraine overnight had been shot down. The military said 6 Kinjal ballistic missiles fired from aircraft, 9 Kalibr cruise missiles launched from ships in the Black Sea, and 3 Iskander land-based missiles were downed. Russia has hit Ukraine with a barrage of missile attacks in recent days as Kyiv gears up for a long-anticipated counteroffensive. 6 Iranian Shahed drones and 3 reconnaissance drones were also shot down by Ukraine. The White House said Russia is now looking to buy additional advanced attack drones from Iran.
If Iran proceeds with selling these additional and more advanced UAVs to Russia, which have also been used to target U.S. personnel in the Middle East, there is every reason to believe that Russia will use them to continue its attacks against Ukrainian targets, causing more Ukrainian casualties.
Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's 3-day diplomatic tour of Europe drew to a close on Monday. In a video address from a train taking him back to Kyiv, Zelensky said he had secured more protection for Ukraine's people and greater political support. He described new defense packages pledged by European governments as including newer and more powerful weapons. Zelensky met British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak at Chequers earlier on Monday, the last leg of a trip that also brought him to Rome, Berlin and Paris. French President Emmanuel Macron elaborated on the latest military assistance his country is set to give Ukraine. In a televised interview, Macron said he had opened the door to train Ukrainian pilots, adding that training on French planes could start now. Macron said his government has decided to deliver new munitions to Ukraine. Elsewhere, General Oleg Selyukov, the commander of Russia's ground forces, met the chief of South Africa's army, Lieutenant General Lawrence Umbata, in Moscow on Monday. The Russian Defense Ministry said they discussed issues of military cooperation. The announcement came hours after South African President Cyril Ramaphosa denied accusations by the United States that his country was siding with Russia and had sent weapons to help Moscow. Dan Morel, TVB News.
Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko has made his first public appearance in almost a week. Lukashenko was last seen in public on the May 9th Victory Day events in both Moscow and the Belarusian capital, Minsk. His failure to appear in public since then had prompted speculation that he had been taken to a medical facility. State TV showed Lukashenko inspecting an Air Force installation on Monday. He said his country's Air Force had been put on high alert after reported incidents in Russia's Bryansk region on Saturday. Russian media outlet Kommersant had earlier reported that a Russian raiding party comprised of an Su-34 fighter bomber, an Su-35 fighter, and 2 military helicopters had been shot down in an ambush there. The Russian Defense Ministry did not respond to the report. There was also no official response to the incident from Ukraine. And Brazil, the world's top chicken exporter, has for the first time confirmed highly pathogenic avian influenza cases, an H5N1 subtype of the influenza virus. The Brazilian government said 2 cases were detected in wild birds. Under the guidelines of the World Organization for Animal Health, that should not trigger a ban on imports of Brazilian poultry products. Brazil's main poultry-producing states are in the far south and center-west. However, Espírito Santo, a southeastern state where the virus is found, is the country's 3rd largest egg-producing state. It does not export eggs, but sells them in the domestic market. In April this year, China, Japan, South Africa, and Saudi Arabia are among the main importers of Brazil's chicken products. Still ahead, pro-government supporters protest against bail for former Prime Minister Imran Khan. A shooting incident in New Mexico in the U.S. leaves 4 dead, including an 18-year-old gunman. And 26 people injured in a tour bus accident in Chunwan. Welcome back. Large numbers of Pakistanis have taken to the streets again. This time it was pro-government supporters who were protesting over the decision to grant former Prime Minister Imran Khan bail last week. Khan's wife, Bushra Bibi, has also been given bail as she battles corruption charges as well. David Garrett reports.
The government put the number at 20,000. Crowds stretched into the distance, but none of the violent scenes sparked by Imran Khan's detention last week. However, these people are unhappy that he was released. They sat outside the Supreme Court in Islamabad and blocked the way in. They say Khan's release is evidence the Chief Justice is biased. Political parties affiliated to the ruling Pakistan Muslim League organised the rally. They are calling for Chief Justice Umar Atta Bandial to stand down. The sit-in was later called off. Maryam, the daughter of former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, an opponent of Khan, spoke to the crowd and said it was time for Bandial to show nobility and resign. Khan was released from prison last week after being arrested at court just days before. The Supreme Court ruled his arrest was unlawful and he was granted bail. Khan claims the charges against him are politically motivated, with elections coming this year. There were violent protests across the country until he was released. Khan faces dozens of charges against him. His wife, Bushra Bibi, is co-accused along with her husband in the corruption probe. She was inside this black vehicle arriving at court in the eastern city of Lahore on Monday. A white sheet was erected around her by Khan supporters as she entered the building. Khan feared the government were planning to arrest her. It's alleged they received expensive properties in exchange for providing benefits to a property tycoon. They are accused of using the finance to set up a university.
We had two different cases of Imran Khan today. One which related to Imran Khan was his wife's case. We had filed a protective pre-arrest bail in the Lahore High Court, Lahore, again in the case of Al-Qadr University, which is being investigated by NAB authorities. The Honourable Court has granted protective bail to her till 23rd of May.
The couple deny the allegations. Bibi was granted bail until next week and left the court with Imran Khan. David Garrett, TVB News.
In the U.S. state of New Mexico, an 18-year-old gunman fired randomly in a residential area on Monday, killing 3 people and wounding 6, including 2 police officers. The late morning shooting spree unfolded in a residential area of Farmington, New Mexico, a major retail center and regional hub for the fossil energy industry. Police exchanged gunfire with a suspect before he was fatally shot. An eyewitness said the suspect had roamed a quarter of a mile on foot, firing at bystanders indiscriminately. The rampage came to an end outside a church where he was confronted by law enforcement. At least 26 were injured in an accident involving a tour bus on Texaco Road in Chunwan. The bus flipped over on its side, shattering the windshield. Passengers sat on the side of the road with fire trucks and ambulances on standby. Police said some passengers had light injuries, while the bus driver was rendered unconscious at the scene of the accident, but later regained consciousness. Firefighters climbed on top of the bus to investigate. Some traffic lanes on Texaco Road in Chunwan heading towards Chun Cam Road were closed due to the accident. A mainland electronic business company of about 2,000 people visited Hong Kong today. The group will spend a night in the city. The first activity of the tour group was to have pun choi in Sha Tau Kok. Some people said eating pun choi is a new experience and they enjoyed it. In the afternoon, the group arrived at Asia World Expo to watch performances arranged by the company before attending a lecture. Under the sponsorship of the airport authority, Cathay Pacific Airways is offering over 10,000 free tickets from Seoul to Hong Kong to registered Cathay Pacific members starting from today. The free tickets will be distributed on a first-come, first-served basis. To be eligible for the free tickets, people must be 19 years old or over, and they must make an online registration between 11 a.m. today and 11 p.m. next Monday, Hong Kong time. Winners of the tickets will be notified by email next month. That's the news. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.